trimmed. It just looks fantastic already, but it sounded to me like it's likely that they'll make those other
Yes, ma'am.
additions soon. Does
Yes,
that sound like that?
Robbie and I have already been working on the lights and the power for outlets and stuff. That's that process that Robbie met with some friends of his at Greystone. And I'm going to schedule a meeting to meet with them as well, the engineers, to draw that up. But that's something that Robbie and I, I'm sure he might agree, that that's something that we will probably more than likely move forward on, because we know that's a need for sure. And that's something that we
Yes.
could probably do soon.
That's great. And that area is used more and more. And then there was also a question about some sort of stage, whether to rent a stage or build a stage or buy a stage, or do you have any feel for what's going to happen with that?
Now, that's, like I said, it's beginning the process of what exactly they're thinking about. Or we want a portable stage or want a permanent stage, something we can move from park to park. That's, like I said, at the beginning of the process of the retreat of the budget, next coming year's budget. That's part of the process to get it all out there up front to see what the decisions are. Then we'll have more discussion one-on-one with the council people later on, and that'll pretty much decide, because Robbie and I don't know the direction exactly what they're thinking about stage wise. So we're trying to get more information from them and utilizing the information y'all are giving us to try to work together and to give everybody exactly, try to get on the same page what we need and what we want for the city stage wise.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes,
also at Hutchinson Ferry Park, there was discussion about a restroom,
Yes,
and you know, that will be our only park without a restroom, because Trust for Public Land is putting in restrooms at Campbellton Park and Riverlands Park. And so the idea was brought up that perhaps the same designer and the same construction firm that's doing the restrooms at Campbellton Park and at Riverlands Park perhaps could be hired to do it at Hutchinson Ferry Park too. And maybe it wouldn't be so expensive if they were doing other things in the area too. So once again, I know no decision's been made about that, but that was discussed and I thought that was encouraging. And then Cochrane Mill Park, you know, parking has always been an issue. And just to give you a little background, when the park belonged to Fulton County, they allowed people to drive their automobiles way into the park on Upper Wooten Road and park in what we now call Zaxcalade, that big field back there. And when it became Chattahoochee Hills Park, we said, wait, that's not a good idea for a lot of reasons. One, you don't want cars way back there in the park. And two, that field is soft, they get stuck back there. And three, it's a one-lane road. And if somebody pulling a horse trailer meets another car going the other direction, you know, you've got a real problem. And so we started looking for other places we could put a parking lot. And what we realized very quickly was that almost all the land in Cochrane Mill Park that's really close to Cochrane Mill Road is floodplain. You know, Bear Creek and Little Bear Creek both go through there on both sides, and there's just hardly any place where you could put a parking lot except for the east side of the park, south of Upper Wooten Road. And that's the area that we've talked about would be great for a universally access trail. But years and years ago, we said, okay, there's about 2 acres here. We could do a parking lot here if we had to do another parking lot. What we decided to do back then, and that was 2012 when we were applying for a grant, we decided to expand the existing parking lot. So the parking lot we have now is twice as big as what we had before. And the area that where the horse trailers park, that didn't exist. I mean, that was just woods. And so that grant gave us the funds to create that part of the parking lot. And for a while that was enough. And, but now it's not enough. And so the discussion was about where could we put more parking, and Daryl and I reminded them that we're also going to need another restroom eventually at Cochrane Mill Park, and that's the most used park. And so this is a priority. But what they decided wisely, and it's actually the same thing I think the Parks Commission decided too, was let's wait and see how this new cell phone lot works. I know Daryl thinks he can get quite a few parking spaces in there, and that might solve the problem for a while. Daryl, do you want to talk a little bit about how many spaces you think you might get?
We're hoping between 30 and 40. That's what we're projecting. I spoke with some guys from Greystone Power this week, and I'm trying to get them to donate that. Well, they are going to donate some power poles, which will line that banking on the far side where it drops off.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
line that up like we did in over there at the horse parking area, keep people from driving off. So we'll be able to park all the way down through there. So we're hoping 30, pushing for 40, but 30 comfortably. And plus, if you remember, when COVID time, we added that small parking up there beside the parking lot in the main parking area, the day use area. So we're hoping we're going to, like you said, we're going to see how that helps the parking. Hopefully it's a tremendous relief, hopefully.
Yeah, it looks big. I mean, when you walk in it, you can tell it's going to hold at least 40 cars. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
we hope so. Yeah, we hope
Yeah.
as long as people park correctly and the way we designed it and laid it out with the cross ties and the little out kicks before we plant some flowers or whatever, that pretty much, if you have any common sense, it would tell you how to park and gives you some kind of direction how to park. So they just not parking anywhere, and hopefully that'll help.
That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I think that's all I've got about priorities. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. I was just listening to the last work session, and there's a lot of talk about putting more things on the east side of the park. I mean, if that right now, the picnic pavilions on the west side, the restrooms, the kids' play area, the parking, the information kiosk, the parking kiosk. If parking was put on the east side, a lot of that other stuff would have to go along too, right? So it's a lot more than parking. And, the other thing that's happening that's good is, we have new trail maps coming and better trail marking. And so maybe, cross our fingers, people getting lost isn't going to be such a big issue anymore. And it'll kind of take the pressure off needing to put a parking lot on the east side. That's all. That was my comment.
Okay.
I would
Any other
add-
comments?
I would like to add to that comment, if you don't mind, is remember, if we do decide to put a restroom over there, you got to put a well, a septic tank, all
Yeah.
that has to be done, or try to figure out how to tap into the county water. So that it's not just a building. You have to add.
No, it's, yeah.
We're on the east side. Yeah, there's already water and sewer, and so we're trying to figure out. There's a lot of process, a lot of work going into deciding the future of Cochrane Mill.
And I couldn't quite understand from the recording. Oh, look at me. I couldn't quite understand what the problem was with the restrooms right now in Cochrane Mill Park.
Yes, there are. Yes, there is a
Is-
problem. It wasn't, if you go by what Miss Diana said a few minutes ago, when Cochrane Mill was purchased or taken over by the city, that was a small restroom. That was a small parking area. It wasn't designed. If you think how much we've grown in just the last 5 years with people visiting the park, it's tremendous. I don't even know the number. It's no comparison. And you still have the same 2 toilets with the same septic system with the same field lines. It's just not gonna, I've said it for 3 or 4 years now. It's not gonna continue to hold up. It will hold up, but we just cannot build in parking lots. Because the thing is, if you go to Walmart and the parking lot's full, you leave. Or if you go to steakhouse and it's 2 hour wait, you leave and come back. It's almost to the point now where if it's full, it's full. You can't come and keep building parking lots, and restaurants. And then they say, no, that's all you're going to have is restrooms and parking lots. It takes away from what I think the vision of Chattahoochee Hills. That's, let's build the parking lots that we think that we're comfortable with. We're never going to satisfy everybody. We're never going to make enough parking for everybody. We're not going to give everybody the amenities they want. It's just never going to happen. We just have to be comfortable and be secure. And the Parks Commission and the mayor and council and directors, this is what we're going to provide, and this is the limit of what we want to do and we can do and we're willing to do. And I try to keep that in mind when y'all were recommending things to do in the parks and stuff. We depend on y'all's guidance of what y'all like for us to do. And we take it to mayor and council, and that's always discussion. Well, when do you finally say enough, this as far as we need to go?
Good point.
Just,
Thank you,
yeah,
Daryl.
just real quick for a historical reference. I don't know how many of you are aware, but on the east side, there used to be restrooms on the east side of the park. Back in the early days, Fulton County had them over there along the road when the bridge was still open. That was the reason. And you can still see where they were. The slab's still there. The old well is still there. Septic, it's all just sitting in the woods there, just as a historical reference. It's interesting how they moved it.
And Roland, that was on the other side of Little Bear Creek, right?
Yep, it was across the
right
creek.
next to Cockrell Mill Road. You would have to hike a ways to get to it. Well,
yep, yeah, you
Yeah.
did at the time, and I think it's because there was a house there, or caretaker's house above that on the hill, and that's up there too. You can see the foundation for it if you hike up there. So
I think
interesting.
Roland knows that park better than anybody. He has hiked every inch of it, and he knows all sorts of interesting things.
Secret places.
Cochrane Mill Park.
There's, there's 3 stills on the park site too. They're still there. I think there's 3. Yeah,
I didn't
they're
know
still in
that.
place. They're
Wow.
kind of hidden away too, so
That's interesting.
not active.
Oh, good. All right. Any other comments? All right. The next item is the MTB Atlanta, Mountain Bike Atlanta Trail Workday at Cockrell Mill Park, which was January 29th, and Roland was there. And so would you tell us a little about that, Roland?
Yeah, that was our second. There was actually 2 weekends in a row, and the first weekend, mostly children. The second weekend, which was the 29th, I think, like you said, we had, I think there were 20 people, including Doug and Susan Edmondson, that's Pete's parents. They were there. And we spread out over the red trail, green trail, orange, and yellow, and picked up trash. Some of the kids picked up trash. We cleared all the drains, cut several trees. We had a couple of people with the tree cutting. So it was our first big work day since COVID. So, and hopefully it's going to be a regular occurrence. They did really good job. So it was good to, and the kids learned a lot of stuff too. So that was kind of cool. It's part of the Chattahoochee Grippers, which is the youth mountain bike group that's in Chattahoochee Hills. I think there's 40 kids in that group. And so this was like kind of like their cleanup day. So.
And while we're talking about Mountain Bike Atlanta, let me just mention that they are sponsoring a trail ride this Sunday, and it's called the Barn Quilt Trail Ride. And it's really clever how they're doing it. You can ride a number of different rides. I'm doing the 8-mile ride, which I think is the shortest one, and they're trying to raise money to improve the trails at Cockrell Mill Park. And so it's a good cause, and it should be a fun day. That's this Sunday at 1:00, and you need to go online and register. You have to pay $40, $45, something like that. And all that goes to help improve the park.
I think it's a voluntary pay though, right?
You know what? You're right. It
Yeah.
says if you don't pay, you're not eligible to win any prizes.
Yeah, you can still
Everybody
ride.
can ride.
They just
that's
want
right.
tickets to know how many people are riding it.
It's really clever the way they're doing it. They want you
Yeah.
to take a picture of every barn quilt that you get to. And it's complicated, but anyway, it's gonna be fun. So if y'all can do that.
It's going to be chilly. It's going to be cold on Sunday.
Is it really on Sunday?
Yeah, it's going to be a cold ride.
And they're serving chili.
Yeah. Well, my little pantry is on the route.
Food trucks, aren't there? Food trucks and
Yeah.
a fire pit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They're going to need it. It's going to be down in the 30s in the morning, and then get up to like just 50, I think.
Oh my goodness.
In the afternoon.
Okay. All right, we can do that. All right, the next item is at Cockrell Mill Park, the proposed ADA trail and parking lot. So we've talked a little about that, but I know Clifford, you had questions, and that's why I've got you listed to lead this discussion. Do you have any more questions left?
You're muted, Clifford. You're on mute.
How about if I unmute myself?
That's good.
I was going to start with an interesting fact I didn't know about Chattahoochee Hills. I don't know if I would have guessed it. Maybe I would have. Did you know that as of 2020, the median age of the Chattahoochee Hills population is 54.4? If you kind of look ahead to the future, a lot of us, myself included, are going to be facing our 60s, 70s, 80s, not too much further in the future. We have no space right now, unless you want to count like walking in the ball field. We really don't have a lot of rolling around, moving your wheelchair around the ball field. We don't really have a lot of accessible places in our parks. Cochrane Mill is a beautiful park. It draws a crowd. I think it's, to be quite honest, I think it's kind of shameful that our park has really nothing to offer folks in wheelchairs right now. I guess with an all-terrain wheelchair, you could go down Upper Wooten Road or something, but for all intents and purposes, there's nothing there. So I think the obvious park to do something like that right now is Cochrane Mill, because you can get into nature, really into the wilds, really, really well. Roland showed a route on the east side. Yes, this would require a restroom. We looked at restroom designs that are modular, that are self-contained, that wouldn't require additional drilling and such to make happen. But I know we talked about a small parking area associated with it down the road, not directly opposite, but down the road from the current area. But that would be mainly for persons with the needs of persons with a handicap sticker that would then be able to avail themselves of that. I would love to start pushing this forward. I know the first step is finding grant money, and I believe Pat, you've offered to do that. I'm offering to help with that. I'm personally motivated. I mean, some of us are going to end up in not immediate, but eventual future, potentially wanting to get out in nature and not being able to. And I really would like to see the day when there's such a beautiful overlooked spot of the river, such a wonderful space to be able to go to. And I really think it's part of making the parks for everyone that we do that. So, I would like to advance that. I'd like to make that a priority this year. And it just starts with finding some grants and doing some legwork and how to get it rolling.
So I sat in on that one grant meeting that was held, and that's probably not the grant we want, just because you have to provide so much matching funds. I think what Diana, you said, the recreational RTP
Right.
grants, maybe
20% rather than 50%.
have the least amount of matching.
That's right.
And for all these grants, your application really has to have very detailed information on costs and all that kind of stuff. You can't just sort of say, oh, sort of this, and then come back later and say, oh, now we did the numbers, we need that. So it's gonna require a fair bit of upfront.
Yeah.
And at the last work session, honestly, that recording's not great, but anyway, the mayor did say that some kind of work was done on this in the past, and they were estimating about $1 million all told for the whole project, like a paved walkway and everything. So it's a big thing, but I'm with you. There's going to be a lot of preliminary legwork, so we might as well get started on it. And then see when, the RTP grants timeline is and stuff, so we can either get the next cycle or the cycle after that. But
shall we form like a subcommittee that?
I think we have one already, you, me, and Roland.
Okay. Shall we just officially announce that we're actually going to start meeting soon? And
Well,
I
think the first thing, we have to come to some agreement, but then we probably have to get some sort of buy-in from city council or something that they think it's a good idea. Because if we do a lot of work and they say, are you kidding me? Then we're going to be unhappy.
Do you have to get buy-in before you even apply for a grant?
Yes.
You do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The city has to commit to somehow coming up with a match.
Right.
Well, can I ask you, we did the match for the RTP grant with labor.
Well, that's
most of it, right?
But
yes,
so
but I
Roland-
think you even said, Roland, that the specifications for an ADA trail may require actual, not volunteer, but
Yeah,
professional
it would
labor.
require professional. Yeah. Yeah,
And-
well,
and I
certainly
can-
for the design.
Oh, definitely for the design, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the layout is done by, us, whoever, but then the design of it, of course, it has to be by somebody who's experienced. And then I had researched a few companies that do that.
So does that have to be hard surface, or can it be like certain
It
types
doesn't
of
have to be
gravel?
concrete to be ADA.
Okay, but
can
it has
be
to be-
There's other more natural stuff. It doesn't have to be paved.
Because I'd rather have a pervious surface, all things being considered, but.
Yeah, it can be other things like a finely packed stone, and yeah, there's a lot of options for that. I've looked at a lot of different places that use different things other than that. So yeah.
So, and I can tell you, because I've applied for a number of those grants, I think I've applied for 4 and we got 2 of them. The council has to pass a resolution supporting the grant. You can't send it in without that. So you've got to have their support, but it's a really good idea to find out ahead of time, because as you say, it's so much work to write that grant, and it's going to be really disappointing if you do all that work and then the council says, well, we don't want to meet this match. Too bad. So we should talk with council members first and see if they would support.
Well,
the
do
idea.
you bring it up in the work session first, or
that would be good. Yeah. To get on the agenda for the work session and talk about it. And of course, if we had, some visuals that we could present when.
Oh yeah, we can definitely make
talk with
visuals
them.
for that.
Yeah,
We'll
and
plan
say,
that.
here's what we have in
We'll mock
mind.
it up somehow, and
Yeah.
we'll have that.
And I will say, years ago, I got to do a tour of Gwinnett County parks, and they were winning all kinds of awards because they were doing so many parks. I think they were using SPLOST funds to do fabulous parks. They had aquatic centers and all kinds of things. But the parks director said that what was used most in any park was a simple walking trail loop. He said where people can push a stroller and little kids can ride a bike, and wheelchairs can be used. And he said that's used more than anything. And so that's what you're talking about.
Yep.
And
that's a good point. People with strollers, that's another good audience.
Yes.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, to me, it's just, I guess the only trying to think about potential reasons the town might be opposed. The biggest one that comes to mind is I know that there's some talk of putting them into other parks in our system. Are we up against that? Is there a park that's the favored child for such a trail where any work has been done to investigate?
Well, Riverlands is accessible, right? Not all of it, but with it's already, right? Diana, is that correct?
What do you mean?
Riverlands or Campbellton?
Riverlands, I thought, was accessible because they're designing the pavilion and the restrooms to be accessible from the parking area.
Yeah, but I don't think they were planning a trail.
Oh, okay.
No, but that might be, we should consider that along the high ground there. If a trail loop there would be more appropriate than in Cochrane Mill. I mean, the falls are beautiful, but so's the river.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. You might be right.
And there's a lot more room at Riverlands than Cochrane.
Well, and plus there will be restrooms already built. There won't be any, you're right thinking about it. Even though Cochrane Mill is that's a beautiful area over there. And it's relatively flat, towards on that side, but
it wouldn't require the additional parking lot. I mean, in a way,
well, that's it.
And the city might well say, "Hey, have you looked at this other park as a first go?" Because from a financial point of view, it's a lot more amenable. So I'd be happy to go do a little trip out there to take a look and see what it is. And Roland, I would definitely want to have you along because you've scoped out the other one, and we can see is this comparable in terms of what it would offer.
I know you've commented before, Clifford, how much that little walkway in Tyrone gets used.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. People really want just sort of a mile or two loop sometimes where they can get out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah.
And we've never applied for a grant at Riverlands. You know, we've gotten 2 of those RTP grants at Cochrane Mill Park. So we might have a better chance at
Yeah.
Riverland.
Well,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Opening up a new area, also taking
Mhm.
traffic to a new site. Yeah.
also, I want to add too, as we discussed earlier about overbuilding Cocker Mill.
Yeah.
You know, you do, if you've been, I know several, you've been to the meetings for the last couple of years, and you definitely have a couple of residents that completely don't want more trails, more this, more that, because when you go down trail, you can see the other trail, you see people walking out the way. Miss Diana, you know, you and I have been to many meetings where you have several residents speak up about more trails. No, we don't want more trails, more build, more this, more this. Why can't we leave the park? They feel like the park's already overdeveloped now. And if we can focus our attention to other parks where we got a fresh slate and can start stuff and take some of the pressure off of Cocker Mill, which we know how beautiful Cocker Mill is. And that's the reason why people want to visit there. But we have to be good stewards of the residents there as well, that we all want that, but we got other parks that need attention to, that we just got to keep in mind that there are a lot of residents that are very strong about let's stop building so much in that park. Not saying we should not, but we got to take everybody in consideration, because we have these meetings where you have the meetings where all the residents are allowed to come in and voice their opinion, and that's how we always head forward in what we do. So just always try to keep that in mind. And I know some of you are newer here, and some of y'all hadn't been to all the meetings that most of us that have been here for several years, we hear these comments that we just got to be careful how we move forward and some of the stuff that we do.
And that reminds me too, that in Riverlands, I mean, there's an opportunity there to showcase a pollinator meadow and some other kinds of things that could be along an ADA trail. So I do think serious consideration, you know, we should sit down.
Yeah, and from a landscape diversity point of view, there's more, it's a good point. There's more to see, and there aren't many places where you can actually just appreciate the river, along anywhere in Chattahoochee Hills for that matter. So a versatile trail that would enable a variety of users might actually draw a variety of users there. So that's actually there's a lot of good points for that.
All right, good discussion. Thank you. Next, we have the ranger at Cochrane Mill Park. Oh, wait, okay, current parking at Cochrane Mill Park. Chip, I've got you down for that. So I know you had concerns about what's going on with parking now, and you had some questions about that. And you're muted.
Kind of
There.
continuation from last year. I go through there pretty much every weekend. So, you know, just kind of buzz through the parking lot to see how the parking is, and it's usually jam packed. Well, last year there was some threats from the horse trader people as far as all the other cars that were taking up their parking. And so I think we finally got it straightened out last year, where they quit parking inside that area where the horse trailers are. And I can understand it, because it's everything else is jam packed. And if there's not a horse trailer, like, let's see, I think it was January, I went through there and they were parking all in the horse trailer parking. There was no horse trailers there. So all they saw it as free parking, and the rest of it's, you know, packed. So the next weekend, the same thing, same situation. They were parking in there. So I went through there this last weekend. I didn't see them parking in there, but it wasn't as crowded this weekend either. So anyway, I don't want it to escalate where it was last year. And of course, that was looking at Dana's financial, where we're collecting the parking fees. Looks like we're increasing already this year. More and more people are coming in there. So I don't know what to do about it, other than, you know, well, originally we talked about the park ranger just walking over and saying, hey, you know, this is for horse people. Can you park somewhere else? And But if we don't have an option where they can park, now when I went over there the last couple of times, I got there a little late. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And there was parking in the back area that hadn't been used yet. So there were still some spaces back there. Of course, when we open up the cell tower lot, that may take care of it. But I don't see that many people from Chattahoochee Hills in there. Most of the tags that I'm looking at are from not in, well, actually, a lot of them are not in Fulton County. So I'm not sure if we're talking about still putting people in the cell phone lot, just pass holders or local city, I think is what we talked about. Of course, if we have pass holders and city in there, that might also alleviate a little over there. But anyway, that's where we are right now. It's starting to ramp up because it's getting warmer and warmer, and I think it's going to probably be another issue again.
Well, you know, we do have the police, the new, you know, they're more visible there on the weekends, right? Because now they're kind of assigning with overtime the officers there. Am I correct? So that
No.
might, Yeah.
What we have is we have it's not really a park ranger. We have a guy, it is park ranger, but he doesn't have authority, but he has a radio that communicates with the police department. As Chip said earlier, when he does see that, he calls the PD and the PD comes through and do what they can do. But like, you know, Chief Little would say, you know, they're on the other side of town handling business, then had to, when they get through with whatever they're handling, they come over there and write citations, which Jim showed me. There's several citations that the PD is writing. Like we always say, you can't fix stupid. Sometimes you go out there and you can tell them and you can tell them and tell them. People most time are going to do what they want to do, but the ranger that we have out there, that's what his job is to do. He is to be out there, to be an ambassador, to help, walk around, check things. And if he sees it, kind of help parking. And if he sees something, to communicate with the police department, and then that's what his job is. That's what he's doing. And you just remember, this just started. He just started, I don't know, a few weeks ago. So we just got to give the guy, he's his first job. He's training, he's learning. We got to just remember to give him a chance, a fighting chance to learn what he's doing, to learn how to do it. And, you know, he's not older like we are with, know how to deal with people. He's learning. So we just had to give him the opportunity to learn and figure out how to do it and when to do it and how to do it. So we just gotta be patient and let's work with him.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here for a minute. The park ranger is not a little man. It's not a little boy, not a 12-year-old running around with a popsicle in his mouth and playing hopscotch or anything. This is a grown man. He's a college student. He's an intelligent college student. The reason we got him, I'll give you a historical perspective, is we got park rangers to actually start the program, and they're in the parks department. But Daryl and I struggled trying to find somebody to fill that role as a park ranger because people were thinking, well, I don't want to go clean bathrooms or rake leaves or put out mulch and do maintenance. That was the thought process. So we transferred it to the police department and hired 2 park rangers that reported to the police department, not police officers, as Daryl stated, but they had to go through security and integrity training in order to use a police radio, because they may hear driver's licenses and criminal histories and those kind of things transmitted over the radio, and you got to have security and integrity. Well, we lost both those park rangers because, it's a difficult job to work every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day, depending on what they do, and not have time off. So we knew that it was going to be kind of a transient position. So once those left, those 2 park rangers were like, hey, we don't want to leave the park unattended. So we agreed, Daryl and the chief and I all agreed to pay some officers overtime to be there on weekends. And we figured, okay, we'd be paying a park ranger anyway. Let's go ahead and make it a win-win, let these officers make some overtime and also have uniform officer presence, so on and so forth. And then but still the goal was to get an actual park ranger in there. And we were able to locate one, and this person, may leave eventually too, because, he's in college now, but his college load may get heavy, and we may be back in the same situation. So we definitely appreciate, especially Chip, you're out there so much. And this park ranger is an ambassador. And so is Chip, because he interacts with folks. Hey, I'm Chip Denton. I'm a park range. I'm a Parks Commission member. That's great. I love the fact that we're getting Chip for free. Don't tell him. 'cause we want to draw a paycheck. But no, that's what this person is. He's an ambassador, and he's that person to interact with everybody. And eventually, when we outfit the ranger station, I want him or her to actually frequent that ranger station to be able to have those folks visiting accessible to him or her and say, hey, I need a map. Hey, can you tell me which side of the park to go to? Where's the best hiking area? Where's the best biking area? So, not necessarily walking around patrolling, looking for people spraying graffiti or doing drugs or drinking, that kind of stuff, but definitely to be out and about. And if he or she sees somebody, that's what, where Daryl mentioned, all they do is press down on that radio and they call for a police officer and they respond. And that's where we're at right now. But, we'll welcome any ideas to improve that. And we definitely need more visibility. Daryl secured a vehicle from the police department. We're going to outfit it, upfit it, however you want to say it. So that way that vehicle will be visible as well. But that's kind of a background on the park ranger.
Thank you, Robbie. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I think having that vehicle out there outfitted was probably be the best deterrent, to tell you the truth.
All right, and so the next item is the ranger. I think we've covered a lot of that. Chip, do you have any other questions or comments about the ranger?
No, not really. I met him a couple of times. I like him.
Good.
He, the main thing I think you and I talked about at the council meeting is one of the council members said a couple of citizens had complained, and so I kind of figured we better talk about it. I don't know who complained, but it's based on what Robbie just said. He's and Daryl, it's give him a chance and help him understand the job. But that's the only thing really I know other than when I went through there and met him a couple of times. That's the first I heard that anybody had complained about him. I'm sorry.
Good. Okay. Next item is sweep the hooch at Campbellton Park, March 25th. Roland. You're muted.
You're muted.
I usually don't mute myself, but the dog was barking earlier. No, it is the 25th from 9 to 12 at Campbellton Park. I'm leading it this year in that park like last year. I got an assistant, a co-lead. Chip has volunteered to do that. And we'll probably on that day, a third person, we may have a third person co-lead another area. We'll see. We have 5 slots still open. So anybody in this meeting that hasn't signed up that wants to enjoy, the Campbellton Park for a few hours and pick up trash is welcome to sign up. We're not having a dumpster this year on site, so I'm going to have to haul the trash up to 166, and Diana's leading that group this year, separate from the Campbellton Park. So we're not doing one last thing. We're not doing a water pickup this year because it's been canceled, I think 3 years in a row due to high water. So it'll be walkers only, no waiters, just walkers, and same at 166. So I think I got everything covered with that pretty much.
What was that date again? What's that date again?
Saturday the 25th. So 2 weeks or 1 week from this Saturday.
It's also ball season opening day.
Oh no!
Every year.
Can you move it?
Yeah.
I think it's a little too late.
Oh man! And I meant to remind Robbie. I think I sent you an email. If you could order a I guess you'd have to. How long the lead time to get we do need a porta potty at that site.
Yes.
Roland, do you know if Chattahoochee Riverkeeper is providing one? Because last year, didn't we?
No, they're not.
3 of them somehow. You're sure they're not?
I'm sure they're not. Tammy asked me if we could this year because
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah, she did. And I said I would check with Robbie and a couple of weeks
if you
ago,
haven't already ordered one, there's a guy who lives right on that same road that has a company that provides them, and he would love to have a chance to provide one there.
Do you have that contact information? I have a reminder on my calendar because
Yes, I will send that to you. I will
good,
send that to you. He lives on that road and he's just started a porta potty business.
Oh, that's great. So he can
He'd be
just
so
dump it.
happy if you would hire one of his porta potties.
You
Yeah.
can just dump it in the river when it's full. Yeah, it's
No.
perfect.
Dar-
Hold it,
Daryl and I will go test it out. We'll give it a test run before we put it out there.
I'll
I'll
put
send you
Rock
that.
in and drag him around the lake, the
Oh, yeah.
river.
Block the door and
All
tip
right.
it over face down. Yeah.
It's-
Been
So I
there, done
wish-
that.
I wish I could be with y'all at Campbellton Park. I tried to work that out.
I
But
saw
Tammy-
that. Yeah.
Tammy said she needs me up at Highway 166. So
Yeah, too
I'll
bad.
be up there helping that group.
Yeah, and usually
thank-
Laurie Searle co-leads, but she's got something else going on that day. So so I enlisted Chip, said he would. He
Excellent.
volunteered. What is it?
Excellent.
What is the word for volunteer when you're
Voluntold.
voluntold? So, and if
so let me
anybody
see, I
else
was-
wants to, that's fine too. If somebody else wants to help, we expanded it. I meant to mention that we did it last year unofficially, but officially we've expanded the cleanup area down 92 under the bridge down there because that's still in the city limits. And it's a dumping ground down there. So that's where we got most of our trash last year, was under the bridge down there at the
And
river.
I was out there actually today, and Cochrane Road, which is the gravel road, is in really bad shape. Lots of potholes, lots of
Mhm.
puddles. So, you're gonna get muddy. So wear something you don't mind.
I'll make sure I
It's
post that.
muddy.
Yeah, I'll post that
Yeah,
on
it's
my
very
little letter.
muddy down there.
Yeah, it's like that everywhere, I guess. So anyway, yeah,
Okay, anything else about Sweet Village?
nope.
Next, we have items for consideration, the Parks Commission meeting schedule for April 2023 through March 2024. And Dana sent us that schedule.
Yep.
And generally, if you're just wondering how she comes up with it, it's usually the Tuesday after the city council meeting. Dana, do you want to add anything about the schedule?
The only thing I would add is all the dates except for July and January 2024 are the typical second Tuesday of the month. July and January were pushed out due to the known city council date and the anticipated city council date next January. They won't adopt their schedule till later in the year for 2024.
All right, so can I get a motion in a second to approve that meeting schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I
I'll
see
second it.
Chris' hand. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the meeting schedule for April 2023 through March 2024. All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
I
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we have commission member comments and suggestions. Anything else?
I will make note, I guess this falls under this category. I know there's new business as well, but anyway, I just received today an email from the new person that's doing the City Nature Challenge this year at Fernbank. So she's just coming up to speed. And the question I got back to her and haven't heard back yet. The thing I'm still a little baffled by is that even last year, we were discouraged from having any sort of event. So to put this in context, by the way, we're talking about April 28th to May 1st, this City Nature Challenge this year. The question I had is, well, how about community events? Can we do some sort of community guided walk? And even last year, that really wasn't encouraged. So I wrote it and said, is it encouraged this year? Because I would love to schedule some sort of event, not involving a school, which is too much work, but for the general public to come to one of the parks and do that. So I'm waiting to hear back about that, but just to get that on the radar, that's coming up the end of April, end of May. What is it? End of April, beginning of May, April 28th to May 1st.
All right, that was really fun when you did lead organized walks. That was great.
I'd like to do something. I don't know why. I mean, it seems like we got to be past it now, but even last year, I know it wasn't really encouraged. So,
but you'll keep us posted.
Yep.
Any other council member comments or suggestions? Commission, we're not council, are we? We're commission. All right, well, I have
I do have one comment. I mean, the January 1st hike was really popular and fun. And so if Clifford can do that, that would be great. You know, if we can have sort of a community-wide announcement for the
Yeah.
City Nature Challenge, that would be great.
I have a couple of announcements. Audubon is hosting what they're calling habitat restoration, and they're removing invasives. And they've got 2 different dates for 2 different parks in Chattahoochee Hills. And they want you to register if you want to volunteer to do it. And I will email you with the links so you can register, but I'll go ahead and give you the dates. On March 25th, which unfortunately is the same as Sweep the Hooch, they will be at Riverlands Park from 9 a.m. to noon, cleaning out invasives. And then on June 10th, they will be at Campbellton Park from 9 to noon, cleaning out invasives. And again, that's Georgia Audubon sponsoring that.
Is there any way to get
China,
Georgia
what?
Audubon to be aware of Hutchinson Ferry Park? Because there's so much invasive removal there. And Roland right now is doing it by himself, basically. When I walk with him, I pull up some Iliagnis as well, but it would be heavenly. We've got an awesome, thriving beaver population there. And we pull things and suddenly we see, wow, what's this plant? If we can make it, and there's plenty to go around, it would be awesome to get that on
Yeah,
there.
we may be able to get them involved. The connection here was Trust for Public Land. They've been involved with the Riverlands project for 3 years. And so when Trust for Public Land started working on the Camp and Paddle Trail, which includes both of our parks, Audubon said, hey, we'd like to help with invasive removal in those parks. So that's how we got them here. But now they're in Chattahoochee Hills.
Oh, we
You
need it.
know, maybe we can get them at Hutchinson Ferry Park too.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I've got. The Bee Club. Chip, do you want to talk for just a minute about the Bee Club? We have a Bee Club for people who are interested in keeping honeybees, and Chip led the last meeting.
Yeah, well, actually, Laurie kind of put it together, and I didn't have time, so she did a really good job. We've had 2 meetings so far, last month, and what month is this? Is it March?
Yes, still March, buddy.
Anyway, we had 2. I can't remember what month they were in.
That's
The
what
first
tells your
one-
age. We know. What's today? What is today?
Right, that's right. The first time we had about 25 people turn out, and I think there's a lot more people that have interest. The second time we had, I think there was about 20. We still had quite a bit come out. We had a really good demonstration. We mainly geared it toward beginners because there's only a couple of us there that have had some experience. And I've had a lot of experience. I've lost 3 hives so far. So I figured that gave me some experience anyway. But really want to encourage people to come. We called it Chattahoochee Beekeepers, but actually we've got people from South Fulton. Anybody's welcome. There's one in Coweta County, there's one in Douglasville. So we're trying to just have a place where people, mainly beginners, can go and get this started. Since we're a bee city, it kind of fits right in. But the next one will be, what's the first Saturday of April?
I think it's April 1st.
I think it is too. It'll be at 1:30, and the Nature Center, Bear Creek Nature Center, is hosting these so far. So hopefully 25 people is about all we can handle in that classroom. But if we
Is that
get
in the city
Okay.
newsletter, Chip? Did
sorry,
that get in the city newsletter? Or chance? Can
I
we get,
think somebody's going to write an article about the second meeting. I took some pictures and sent them to her.
okay.
And so I believe she was planning on sending me, and Laurie wrote something on the first time, I believe. But anyway, that's the game plan. So it looks like it's a lot of interest. I think the second meeting will be more of a formal kind of professional, April 1st, professional beekeepers coming out, giving us, we're trying to keep it to an hour. We want to respect people's time, and when we want them to come, and we feel like if they can get out within an hour, then they'll be more likely to come. So this next one again is a more professional beekeeper and more professional formal presentation. So we're hoping to draw some people.
All right, thank you, Chip.
Sounds like
Next.
you're busy bees. Yeah.
Next, staff reports, parking fee update, Dana.
All right, so as you all have seen, since I emailed the report, at Chip's recommendation, we've got 2 columns now, which the first column shows last fiscal year, the year to date, so through February 28th of 2022. And then the second column is this year. So you can kind of look and see, what's up as far as the different line items, what's down. Overall, for the total parking fee revenue, we're up a little over $6,600 from this time last year for $64,790 in parking fees. And total parks revenue, including the primitive camping, which is down from last year. Our weather hasn't been that great, I guess. We're at $64,885 overall. Parking decals distributed to date. We've distributed a little bit more this year, a little more to our residents and a little more to non-residents for a total of 714 decals distributed so far. We're still early in the year. We order 1,500 decals. So Penny, who works is the court clerk and works with the police department, she distributes those decals. So I'm working with her just to make sure we keep an eye on that to see if we need to order some more.
Very good. Thank you, Dana. I like this new format. That's great.
Yeah, that was a really good idea.
Okay. All right. And next, Daryl Wendland.
Yes, good. Y'all touched on a few things just a few minutes ago, that I have met with the Autobahn, I guess is Gabe, one of the guys that's been doing the work out at the parks. And we discussed a few things about down there beside the boat ramp, that pretty grass area that goes down the river, that we overseeded. What they're wanting to do is take half of that and plant all kind of vegetation for birds and for all kind of things. So I didn't see an issue with that. What it do is it'll leave half of that area with grass that we maintain, and the other section will grow up. And what'll happen, we'll cut it once a year. And he recommends about this time of the year, you go through and cut it, because what it does is it gives vegetation for birds to have nest. They get in there and feed. They're going to, no cost to us, they're going to come in and plant all the trees and all the little bushes and stuff that they want to put out there. I also recommend, I said, well, we have another part that the commission that really we want to keep that more of a passive part, which would be Hutchinson Ferry, which y'all mentioned a while ago.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to meet him out there, and the area I'm talking about, if you walk into the backfield and you're on top of the hill, if you look to the left, you can see where we kind of cut up into the woods, and there's some areas in there that we keep clean and cut. So I'm gonna recommend that they plant that as well, so that we don't do that no mow May. We're going to extend it whatever into further into the year. So we have the milkweed that y'all want to preserve. And so that'll be a suggestion that we move over into there. If they're here and they're wanting to partner with us and they're wanting to stay in here and they're looking for things to do to help, we definitely will take them and use them as much as they'll let us use and partner with them. So let y'all know that I give them approval for down there at the Campbellton Park on that area. If anybody wants to meet me, I'll be glad to show them what we're talking about. But if you ever visit down, there's a huge oak tree. We all want to talk about.
Yeah.
It goes from there. Y'all remember where the tent was years ago, where the guy was living in the woods at the far end?
Yeah.
From that area, from the tree all the way to the edge of our property, half of that field from the center towards the river, that's where they want to play. It won't be square. They want to, make some curvature in it, make it look more natural. It's only block it off. So that's an idea. We're gonna flag it, mark it, and then also hopefully he's gonna bring some other people that's part of his team in, and I want to take him to Hutchinson Ferry and walk around and show him some areas that I think would be great for this to promote more of that involvement with them. in our parks. Okay, it'd be a great park to do. That'd be a passive, like Clifford said earlier. There's a lot of, we don't have that word. Cocker Mill is so used and so many people, you miss the opportunity to enjoy the park experience. And if we can keep that more very more passive, you could go over there and it's easy access. It's a short walk from the parking area in the front entrance of the park. You could walk in there. I think it'd be a tremendous asset to the city for us to do that. So I'll be doing that. When I do, I'll let Miss Diana know the day, and so we can pass it on to y'all if anybody wants to come and meet these people.
Yeah, I would love to meet you.
I really
working
want to, definitely.
They're working very hard. They're doing a lot of work, removing invasive species and stuff. They're spending a lot of time, more time, because usually they say, hey, we're going to be there this weekend and that's it. And they say, no, hey, we found some more things we're excited to do. We're going to be out here this day and then that day. And then say, no, they're there several times a week for the last month or so. So they've done a lot of work that, volunteers, we can't do it without volunteers. So I'm excited about that relationship that I've built with his name is Gabe. And like I said, I think it was Monday when I met with him at Campbellton Park. So that's exciting news for y'all. And also I wanted to bring up that, the Bee City, that we put out 10, if you notice throughout the city, we put out 10 Bee City signs throughout the city on mostly trying to catch all the main entrances into the city. So when you see them, that's what we put that out maybe a week or so ago. And that's what I have. If y'all have any questions
That's
for me.
great. That's great, Daryl. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? That is excellent. All right. Well, I guess we are ready to adjourn. Do I have a motion in a second? Oh, wait, I've got one more thing. Daryl, how about the brush cutter? Have we got that brush cutter yet?
No, not yet. We Roland did some research and sent me the information he wants.
Oh,
And
good.
I've got all that stuff on my my report to turn in for mayor and council for my approvals, my money this year.
Oh, good.
I'm sure my budget. So I'm putting on my budget for this upcoming year so we can get that. So that's definitely, I feel 100% confident we're going to get that. It's just a matter
Okay.
of process,
That's awesome.
Right.
get it through the process. So yes, I definitely am
Okay.
working on getting that. We're going to get that no matter what we do. So it's in the process. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can I make one more comment while
Sure.
Daryl's still on and
Yes.
before we hang up? Daryl, I meant to ask you about the city and Robbie, the container at Cocker Mill, that we used to store all the equipment. We don't use it. No one uses it anymore. And it's starting to really rust. And I've been wondering if it could be just removed and repurposed it somewhere else, like City Hall and the maintenance lot, or is that just too much of a?
No, I mean, that's a possibility. I just had to figure out how to find somebody that can haul it.
Yeah, I think it was brought in on one of those flatbeds. Yeah.
You had to get a tractor trailer to get it out. But yeah, that'd be something I can work on. Yeah, if there's not a need there, sure.
No, it hasn't been used in about 2 years. It's just full of junk, rusting stuff, and old fuel in there. There's a lot of old fuel and that's no good anymore. And it just,
Okay.
I think we should just get rid of it.
Okay.
It could still be used I'm sure for somewhere else for storage, but there it's just not been the greatest thing. So just thought I'd mention it.
I think maybe burying it in the hill was not such a good idea because.
No, that was your
so moist.
predecessor, Daryl.
Right. Daryl didn't have anything to do with it.
No.
But anyway, it's part of the problem.
You can
Yeah,
get,
it used to be not buried and it was okay.
Put a French drain around it, it'd been a whole lot better. So,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
okay.
we can get Jim Little to ride by and throw a match at it when he's riding his bike by.
Oh, yeah, it's got fuel inside of it. If you open it up, it'll knock you out when you smell the gasoline in there.
We'll talk to Chief Brett and get a burn permit.
Yeah, just drop it down the vent hole and that'll be it.
I know we're about to adjourn, but I just want to recognize Roland for having more puns than Clifford, 1-0.
Where you been, Clifford? You're falling out.
Well, I was going to talk about how you were raising a buzz with the bee club. I was going to do that.
It's too late. If the meeting's over, you
It's too
can't.
late. The meeting's over. Roland wins.
I won.
There you go.
Now,
What
let
does he
me,
get? What's his prize?
I get a little more invasives.
He gets a brush cutter.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I get the
Right.
brush cutter. Oh, boy.
Yay.
I get more work.
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Can you hear me, Diana?
Yes, Chip.
Yeah, let me mention two things real quick. One thing you and I talked about at the meeting, Diana and I both went to the work session and the council session. And the council members notice when we're there, they direct some comments to us. So it's a good idea, as many people as we can possibly get. So we can get our pet projects in there, because I think that's a good way to do it, to make sure they know we're there and interested in it. Number two, I'll probably have to bring this up next month because I don't have all the information that I wanted. When I've been down to the parks, I take pictures down there, just a hobby, and just on the weekends usually. But I run into a lot of professional photographers that are taking pictures on the rocks there, on the waterfalls. And they're taking wedding pictures, and I don't know what you call it, but they've got ladies down there that are pregnant. And they've got them climbing up and down those waterfalls. And that's what grabbed my attention to start with. Because I mean, they're out there and they're trying to get a good picture, and they're not really thinking about safety too much. I wanted to check with Chief Brett and see what kind of calls he's had down there. It might be a non-event, might not be anything to worry about. But then again, there seems to be a lot of photographers who more and more are showing up down there with people. And so if that's something that's causing accidents already, because it looks really dangerous the way they're posing people out there, and especially the ladies that they're posing. So anyway, I'll see if I can get more.
There's some things you just can't fix, Chip.
Yep, that's what I thought when I saw it. Oh, and one of the photographers spent, while I was walking up talking to her, she get finished. She spent the walk up to the hill. Now, keep in mind, I've already told her I'm on the Parks Commission and how busy we are there. So she spent the last 2-3 minutes going to the parking lot telling me she hadn't paid her parking permit, and was telling me that she hardly ever does, and it's easy to get away with that. Yeah, you're right, Daryl. You just can't fix, oh.
Yeah, got to
We
be
need to-
careful what you say, but yes,
Issue
sir, you can't-
Chip some handcuffs. That's the handcuffs of Chip.
That's
Well, you might tell her about the year pass. She might be willing to do that.
It's only $25. You can go get it. And
Yeah.
she's showing me this camera. The body cost $3,000 alone, and all these lenses. She's telling me all this, and I said, $25. No, I hardly ever pay it. Okay, what's $25? It's an investment in your business here. You aren't paying anything for these props, and we're trying to keep the park up. Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir here, I know.
Right. All right. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
I still move.
Motion. Vote we adjourn. First motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That carries unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you all for
Thank you
all that
all.
you do.
That was
Good
pleasant.
night, guys.
Night.
Hi, Chris.
Bye, guys.